The Inland Empire is filled with many places of worship, from churches to synagogues to mosques. We at the Press Enterprise have decided to take a closer look at these magnificent buildings for their architecture, history, and overall aesthetic. We spoke to Don Miller from the First Congregational Church of Riverside, our first featured church.
This is the first Churrigueresque building in California, a Spanish Baroque style building. Myron Hunt was the architect, and he was a well-known California architect, and he also did the Rose Bowl and a lot of other. What Myron Hunt was saying was he wanted an authentic California architecture. So he started going back to the Spanish roots, the Mexican roots, looking for something that would suit the climate and suit the sense of the history of this part of the country. The concept for this church is it's Spanish Baroque, and we don't know exactly who came up with the idea, but it probably was Frank Miller. And so this building would function as the cathedral. His building over here, the Mission Inn, would be the inn, and then city buildings like the post office and the city hall were right there. And this would have been all in a kind of a Spanish revival style of architecture. That was his vision. And I think this was the first building that he really sponsored after the Mission Inn. Well, the congregation was in a church on 6th and Lemon, down a couple blocks down the street. And it had gotten by about 1905 or so, they realized it was too small. The city was growing, the church was growing, and they began to plan a new church. And ground was broken in 1912, and it was built in about 2 years. It was under construction. Part of the church is concrete, part of it's brick. We're not entirely sure. We've never been able to find plans for it. They don't seem to exist. And it was dedicated in 1914, just before World War I started. So they were trying to start new. And because of that, I think Riverside was really a unique place, and the people who started this church were really unique people. It's a great old building, and it's really, we kind of see it as the cathedral for Riverside, since there is no downtown big-time church anymore, except this one. And this has always been the center. It's not the biggest church in Riverside by any means, but it's certainly the oldest big church in Riverside.
From Riverside, I'm Charlotte Bray for the Press Enterprise and PE.com.